What is up? It's Kofi J. I am here today. We're going to work on a new mix. It's called Practice. I produced this one in like 2 hours. So if I hear some stuff, I might add some more production or take away some things just as I'm working on it. The artist, his name is Sean. It's a sample based hip hop conscious record. I already did some processing on it, but not a ton. He recorded the vocals, and I put one effect on there already, isotope deplosive plugin. It takes off those harsh P's that pop filter catches. He had some heavy P's on there, so I just took it out with one plugin. I already did that to the vocals, but nothing else have I done to the vocals, and we're gonna dive in. First thing I'm gonna do, even before I hit record, people always talk about the technical side of mixing, but I think the ones who do it the best are musical in nature. They have musical ears. They listen to a ton of music and make musical choices. Lately, I've been getting out of the tech box and doing what feels right. I know how to use the standard plugins like a compressor or EQ. And once you have that under your belt, now it's time to get creative. Now it's time to have fun. Make something that makes you feel something, you know? So that's what I'm trying to do today. We're going to make something that feels good. I don't do a lot of rap. Well, I do, but I don't do as much as I would like. So if you're a rapper out there, hit me up. Let's get some mixes going. I want to make this one kind of gritty and earthy and raw. I vibed out to some Kendrick Lamar, to some Nas, just to get my mind and spirit, everything like in that zone, that frame of mind. It helps. It's somewhere deep in your psyche. You remember what it sounded like. It was a fully mixed and mastered song. It felt good. It worked for the times. It works now. And they're classic records. Can't go wrong trying to make something just as good, if not better. I always try to outbeat the references. So what I'm going to do is organization first. I've already saved the session, so that's cool. It's mix one. These are the vocals down here. I'm going to drag them to their respective buses. It says hook, left, right, and center. I'm probably going to have them all on the same bus. Well, the center ones I'll have on the same bus, and then the backgrounds I'll put on the background bus. So I'm dragging these tracks up to my lead vocal bus. This is the old track. Sample-based hip-hop is impossible unless you use the exact same sample. So we just used a different sample, and it sounds totally different. But I think it actually sounds better. Yeah. All right, so center tracks are on that bus, and then I need these background tracks to go to the background bus, which I have hidden. So you could, by clicking that H, where's the background? Background A is here. So I'm gonna power it back on and then unhide it or show it. And then drag these two down to that bus. They should automatically go ahead and output to that bus A if it's in a track stack like this. So bus 17, that's bus, background A is bus 17. All right, I'm also gonna drag to these tracks because they're already pre-panned and they already got pre-auto-tune on there as well. It's just a way to cut down on time and make the process quicker. Also helps me when I'm exporting because I have a whole export system that I might share with this video. I don't need this track. This might seem like a waste of time to people. They're like, why you have so many tracks, or why are you deleting all these empty tracks? But for me, it helps organize things and it allows the mix flow to go so much faster and so much better. So this is just my default template because I made the beat in it. My default mix template is simpler. All right, and the reason why I'm turning these off and deleting the tracks is for CPU. I'd rather the computer not struggle, even though it's powerful. Extra processing for no reason is useless. Oops. If you press Control H, it automatically hides the track. If you press Option M, it automatically turns off the track. I think some of these are still MIDI. I'll leave it for now until I've done processing and then I'll bounce it in place. Because sometimes you want to change the length of the 808 or the attack, and you can't do it if you bounce it as MIDI. So let's see. This is the intro. It's also a vocal. I'm gonna put it on an ad-lib bus. So I'm gonna turn on this ad-lib bus. It's already on. I'm just gonna unhide it. Ad-libs are up here. Okay. So now I got my ad-lib bus, I got my lead vocal bus, and I have my background vocals. Got the track here. Let's listen.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice.
Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. It's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. However, I play with gold tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested. I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better. Humility, not cockiness. High standards, hella bomber, cosmic consciousness. Practice getting better. Beautiful consequence. Conquering abilities consistent. A conquer moves diligently. It don't come instant. A comforter's ingenuity, persistence brings contentment. Conquer inner peace. It's a priceless commitment with continuity. Progress is significant. You practice like you play. It's a practice. Overcoming's validity, grows a process. The outcome's vitality. I promise. Come with a diligent mentality. Proud covenant of mutuality. Prosperous cognitive dissonance, not reality. Progress. Uncomfortable with suffering. Incorporating well-being, serenity. Persist. Cultivating seeds of divinity. My purpose is. Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. It's a practice. Practice, you play like you practice. You practice like you play. It's a practice.
Cool. I'll probably end with the sample as well. Seems like too much of an abrupt ending. Yeah, I'll probably filter it out. I've done that a few times. Every time I do it, I've never disliked it. I did hear some stuff in the vocals. It's rap, so I don't want to mess with his rhythms too much. Rappers spend a lot of time on their flow. They spend a lot of time on their delivery. So this is the best take, probably. The best takes. He comped them, probably. I don't know if it's just one take through or he comped them. But yeah, some rhythms are bothering me a little bit, so I will just nudge those around. But in general, I'm going to leave it alone. So first, I want to get rid of all the MIDI instruments too that I can. So this kick I definitely can get rid of. The 808 I might still play around with some of the lengths or the fade out or whatever. So everything else I think is audio. So let's bounce and place this kick. Looks like I used my trap kit, but I think I replaced the kick with a new one. Anyway, you press Control B to bounce in place. I like to bypass the effects, normalize off, include audio tail. I don't think this has any reverb. Turn that track off and hide it as well. Now I have all audio except for the 808. And so I think this is my old 808 and I changed it to, all right. Let's start from editing the vocals. I already did the editing of the vocal, taking out the P's. Now it sounds better. I'm gonna work on the rhythms. Press Command F and turn on this bow tie thing, which is flex. And I'm gonna do flex rhythm. It's a monophonic instrument, meaning there's one thing happening at a time. It's not multiple layers of sounds. It's just one person, one guy. It's gonna analyze it that way. Let's just flex minimally his rhythms. I think the hook was fine.
Let's unpack this. You play.
All right, just for sanity's sake, I'm going to put one of my template. I got a ton of templates. They all need to be updated. The stuff I'm doing now sounds way better. I advise any mix engineers to have templates for different people. That way, if they come back, you can start from there. A lot of artists record at home. They use the same setup every single time. If you have their settings dialed in, you just start from there and then you just tweak. It's just so much faster than starting from scratch every single time. All right, so Let me find a good. Viva raps a lot. Gives me that edge. Did I need? Okay, let's see what this one sounds like. I'm just gonna make it sound decent so it sounds good when I'm editing these rhythms.
Play like you practice like you play. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. However, I play with GOAT tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested. I'm better when contested. To play bigger, Robert. Let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play.
That packed is very low. I don't think it's my compressor either. Let me just double check.
You play like you practice.
Yeah, boost that word. I don't want to do this. Yeah. All right, let's zoom in.
Let's unpack this. You play like you.
That packed right here is very low, so I'm going to click gain it. If you press command, it'll change to the secondary pointer. If you press escape, you'll come up with this menu where you can change the different tools. I'm going to use the gain tool, which is relatively new in Logic, and I'm going to do +6.
Let's unpack this. You play like practice.
Sounds way better now. So things like that is what I'm going to do with these vocals. Editing is key to mixing. People sleep on editing a lot and they just do, oh, okay, it's good. Slap some auto-tune on it, it's good. Sometimes, but editing can really make a huge difference in your mix just from spending the time making sure each part is the way you like it. But you don't want it to sound like a robot. There's a happy medium, and that just takes practice.
Let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. It's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. However, I play with GOAT tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are.
That I was a little late. I just needed to feel good, really. I'm just going off of feel. And after you've done it for years and years, you just get better at it.
However, I play with GOAT tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. We are tested. I'm better. Fantastic. Forever we are tested.
Comes up with this forever.
We are tested.
All right, so let's undo that. Put anchors around it so it only affects what's in between it. I know this is supposed to be right here on this rhythm. If I adjust that, it also automatically adjusts.
I'm better when contested.
Dude, that's not supposed to happen.
We are tested. I'm better when tested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better.
Let's leave that part alone. Don't need that.
To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better.
And let's adjust this. But I'm putting anchors on each end, so it should only adjust the stuff in the middle. Let's see.
Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better. Kobe disgusted. Practice to your butter. Accountability.
Yeah, he's rushing a bit.
Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better. Kobe disgusted. Practice to your butter.
I could edit every single transient right here, but it usually sounds crazy when you do that. So it's better to just take big chunks and adjust them so they adjust it a more natural way. And so I look for landing notes, like ones that land on beat 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I kind of just use that most of the time, unless it's really off. Like this one was pretty early, so I'm going to move it over. It should sound a little better, but I messed up and didn't anchor the outside of it. So let's do that first, and then, okay.
Practice makes you better. Kobe. Practice to your butter. Accountability. The cost is for status. Don't bother. Humility, not cockiness.
Oh my gosh. It didn't sound like that before, did it?
Practice makes you better. Accountability. The cost is for status. Don't bother. Confident humility, not cockiness. High stand.
Okay, I'm just going to put random anchors everywhere so it doesn't adjust the whole thing. Another way you can do it is you can split them into regions, and so it'll only affect what's in this region and nothing else. If you've been following me, I've had so many issues with Apple. It's getting on my nerves. They used to be my favorite. Now I just don't know. Nothing works like it used to. And things that are broken stay broken for years.
Accountability, the cost is for status, don't bother. To your butter accountability, the cost is for status, humility, not cockiness. High standards, cosmic consciousness, practiced, established, getting better, beautiful consequence. Conquering abilities, consistent, a conquer moves diligently. It don't come instant, it don't come instant, consequence. Conquering abilities, consistent, a conquer moves diligently. It don't come instant, consequence. Conquering abilities, consistent, a conquer moves diligently.
So these two need to be together, and I think that's the issue. So I need these two to be together. That's my issue. So let's try it again.
Consequence. Conquering abilities consistent. A conquer moves diligently. It don't come instant. Consequence. Conquering abilities consistent. A conquer moves diligently. It don't come instant. Consequence. Conquering abilities consistent. A conquer moves diligently. It don't come instant. Consequence.
Boom. Perfect. All right. Move on.
A comforter's ingenuity. Persistence brings contentment. Conquer inner.
This should align everything.
A comforter's ingenuity, persistence brings contentment. Conquer inner peace, it's a priceless commitment. Contentment, conquer inner peace, it's a priceless commitment. With continuity, progress is significant.
Good.
Progress is significant. You practice like you play, it's a practice. Overcoming's validity, grows a process. The outcomes like.
Okay, the first one could be. Let's go ahead and make some regions. Seems to be working. Okay. Verse 2.
The outcomes vitality, I promise, come with a diligent.
Other thing you can do is you can highlight the region by pressing the top, press Command U, and the cycle will be this region, which is pretty dope.
Overcoming's validity, grows a process. Validity, grows a process. Overcoming's validity, grows a process.
It was sounding kind of fake, so I just got rid of some of those markers.
The outcomes vitality, the outcomes vitality, the outcomes vitality, diligence. The outcomes vitality, I promise, come with a diligent mentality, covenant of mutuality, prosperous.
Yeah, so that part's a little funky right here.
Covenant of mutuality, tality, power.
I think that sounds a little better. It's giving me common vibes, actually.
Cognitive dissonance, not reality, progress, uncomfortable with sufferance, radical.
Alright, let's do that.
Progress, uncomfortable with sufferance, radically protest. Progress, uncomfortable with sufferance, radically protest. Progress, uncomfortable with sufferance, radically protest. 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 Progress, 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 uncomfortable with sufferance, radically protest. Progress,
Alright, this is cool because it's an example of when being late sounds better. This waveform is a little bit late. When this one is on and this one's late, it sounds wrong. When they're both late, it sounds okay. So this is a nice little trick of how being not perfect is better than being perfect sometimes.
Progress, uncomfortable with sufferance, radically protest. Consummate with sustenance remedies, precious. Incorporating well-being, serenity, persist. Cultivating seeds of divinity. My purpose is. Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. It's a practice.
All right, got that. The vocals already sound 10 times better just from putting that this chain on. So I'm gonna lower it a little bit. It's a little loud, and let's work on it to knock this out. How far are we? Can't tell. So I want to start with the 808. I like to start from the bottom up. I like to do the sub, the kicks, and the snare, because those are the most important instrumental elements typically, and then whatever the big tonal element is, in this case it's a sample. After I get those locked in, I will typically add the vocals next and then do the rest of the instruments later. But one thing I do consistently every single time is not worry about the high frequency stuff until the end. Because the high frequency stuff, your ears already gravitate towards it naturally. So when they're trying to affect other instruments, it is distracting. So I just mute the hi-hats, the cymbals, big swooshes and stuff like that. Anything like that, I save to the end because it's easy to dial in once everything else is there. All right, so let's do the 808 and then the kick. I think the 808 sounds fine. I might just bounce and place it. Okay, I can stand it to be a little shorter. Okay, that is not doing anything. All right, let's do it this way then. All right, let's hear it in context. See if that's a good.
Like you like this. My prophecy.
Okay, I do like that. Let's go ahead and fix this 808 up. I'm going to bounce it in place first, so I'm not dealing with MIDI anymore. Just dealing with audio. Press Control B. Get rid of it. All right, let's work on this 808 and this kick. Maybe they sound good together. All right, so what I'm hearing is knocking. It sounds great, but it's a little out of control. So I want to control it. There's some resonance frequencies I'm hearing, so I got to get rid of some of those. I made this track, so I already did some of this processing, but I also want to trust my ears right now because there's a serious resonance frequency right there. So that's probably what I'm hearing the most. You can see we're minus 10 dB. It might need to be even more. We'll see. When I went down to 20, kind of got rid of it altogether. I don't want to get rid of the resonance. I just want to control it. I don't want it to be overpowering the mix, the room, the speakers. That's how you get your speakers blown, is these resonant frequencies in the low end. I rearrange these. I put the EQ first. I don't want these resonant frequencies to go through any of these plugins, and I want to control it more with the compressor. So I'm putting it at the end. That way I can control the dynamics of the 808 a lot better when it's last. And I got rid of the resonant frequency first. So now I'm processing all the frequencies that I want to process, not the bad frequencies. As I turned off this thump knob, it was a little bit it's just too much bass, basically. And it was making the 808 sound kind of muddy and just too much. So I turned off this thump because this new 808 doesn't seem like it needs it. And yeah, still tweaking. That high note, the boom, boom at the end is a little resonancy as well. So let's figure out where that's at. All right, that sounds like it's right here, 56, 57. I just want when that note plays for it to dip down and be more in control. I don't want to get rid of all of it, just enough. I hear something rattling, I'm trying to figure out where it is. I'll check in headphones later, but I think it's okay. For this, I'm already sure that I'm going to have to be doing some ducking, which is side chaining the kick and the sub, because I want them both to be heavy. I want them both to be in the lower frequencies. But when you have two low frequency things occupying the same space, becomes an issue and sounds really bad. So I'm going to pick the 808 to be the lowest lows and then the kick to be the mid lows, like somewhere 65, 70, 80 hertz and up. Every kick is different. So it just depends on what it sounds like when you cut that bottom off. This one's already cut at 50. That might be enough. Like I said, I did this track, so I might have did it right. But I still want to sidechain it just to make sure it's really clean and to duck my 808 when that kick hits so that I still have that punch at the end of the day. You want that punch? Well, not all the time. I've heard plenty of records where it's just 808. There's no kick. And then in that case, the 808 needs to be punchy as well. But usually when you're using both, then you want, I want my 808 to be at the bottom and then my kick to be slightly above it. Right now I'm looking for the kick. Great. It's this one right here. Now I'm side chaining it. So now we'll be able to see when the kick hits, I want to duck my sub at 50 hertz and up. So I'm getting the full kick sound more at 50 hertz, between 50 and 500. And I'm getting the full sub sound under 50. When you mess with the attack and release, you'll be able to hear it, especially if you have a sub or really good monitors that can reproduce low end well. Attack means it's going to happen faster, quicker than later, and then release is how long we're going to be knocking down the signal. It has a nice sound when you adjust it appropriately. And you basically just use your ears and decide which one you like best. Still getting a lot of rattling in the 808s. There's some resonance I'm still not taking care of, or I'm not taking care of it enough. So I'm going to go back to the 808 and try to fix that. All right, I'm back. Got my water, feeling better. If y'all don't know, I've been running for like 3 years or so, 3 or 4 consistently. But technically, I've been running for probably like a decade or more. But really doing it, like running marathons and taking energy gels and all that stuff for about 3 years. I've done 3 marathons. I'm going to do my 4th one in March. And I've never finished one without getting hurt. So I've done practice, I've finished without being hurt, but in the actual day, I get hurt every single time. The cramps, somewhere around mile 16 to 18, especially the LA Marathon. There's a lot of hills in the beginning. I just want to tackle that, get that one under my belt, and then move on to another one or retire from it. It's brutal. It's a lot of work, a lot of practice. Let's get back to this mix. I got the kick and the 808 done, I think. I'll listen to it again, and then I want to add the electric bass because that's the next bass instrument. And we'll save the hi-hats for later. Probably get to the snare after the bass. So I'm going to play with the compressor a little bit that I have on the 808. There might be some resonance in this kick, just a clipping here a little bit. So I want to turn it down 2 dB on the fader. Sounds much better, much cleaner. Got the 808. There's a big gap here that I don't see, so I need to, in order to peruse around these big sessions, chop out the noise. You can press Control X to do it quickly, but I kind of don't like using this that much. I like to just manually do it, but this one's easy enough to just use it. Okay, let's add the electric bass. All right, so this bass came from the loop. I can tell it sounds a little muffly, but it adds to the character of the song. AI allows you to separate the different instruments. So I separated the bass and the tonal part of the sample. So I don't need any of the super lows on this bass. We have the 808, we got the kick, we got a lot of stuff going on down here. I want the top end of it. but I don't want it to sound super thin and silly. So I'm gonna put this high pass filter on there, and then I'm gonna add CLA bass because I just like the way CLA bass brings basses out. I might change my mind later though. Right now it's a mono instrument, which is cool. I want it straight in the middle. Well, let me make it a stereo. I have this 808 straight in the middle, and I have the kick straight in the middle. So let's maybe space the electric bass out a little bit. Not everything is just in the center at low frequencies. It's going to be a nightmare trying to mix everything like that. All right, here we go. I'm actually going to solo it just to do that. Quick way to solo is highlight the region you want, press Option S, and then it solos it. But it sounds like both of the main notes kind of sound resonancy a little bit, so just going to have to control them a little bit more. See right there, it sounds like it's a little out of control. All right, now we got both notes. Let's control the dynamics on them. Dope, sounds good to me. Press Option S again. No, okay, gotta turn it off. And then let's see what it sounds like. Let's space it out a little bit. You can use this plugin for that, which is great. It's already spaced a little bit. Let's do it even more to get it away from the center where the kick and the bass are the sub are living. Nice. All right, now I just want to turn it down. It's a little loud. All right. Back. We've got the kick, the 808, and the bass. Now I'm going to move on to the clap. And if there's a snare, I'll move on to that as well. And then I'll start adding in the soul sample, then vocals. All right, and that sounds pretty good to me. It's compressed already. It needs reverb and stuff, maybe, but not a lot. I like to do reverb later at the end, not now. Let's see if there's any snares around. Okay, yeah. So that's a rhythm snare. I do hear a little bit of clicks because the way I chopped it. So I could either fade in and out. Pretty sure it's the same loop throughout. Another thing I like to do is instead of just using solo, mute everything you haven't done yet. Because when you think you can solo and unsolo all you want, and you can still come back to where you're at in the mix. So I haven't done any of these. Okay, haven't done that. All right, there we go.
Let's unpack this. You play.
Okay. So I just want these snare rhythms, honestly. Everything else I don't really need in there. It's just remnants of AI taking the sample apart. The drum sample. Or the drum loop. I like to use track alternatives so I can always go back to the old track. So I'm going to duplicate that and I'm going to highlight these and press J. Make one region out of them so I can easily copy and paste them a lot easier. So 62211. Just want to make sure that when I do copy and paste that it's exactly right. I think that's correct. Yep, these are empty. These I'll just take care of manually. I'll do these separately. All right, great. All I did was press J to join them together, merge the regions, and that's the snare. Let's work on this rhythm snare. I'm kind of hearing they should be wider instead of all in the center. So I'm probably going to use Pan Man to do that. Cool, that sounds pretty good. So it's bouncing around left to right a little bit. It's almost like panning it manually, where it's not gliding over to each side. It's just right, left, instead of right to left, left to right. So, yeah, sounds good to me. I don't think it needs any processing either. It sounds pretty compressed, pretty present. Let's move on. All right, so before I add, I think I'm going to add the vocals in now because the vocals are just so crucial, and then these chords are going to be relatively easy to mix in later. For hip hop, the drums and the vocals are the most important thing, drum, bass, vocals. So lock those in, and then everything else, you can't mess up the mix really after that.
You play like you practice like you play. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. However, I play with GO tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested. I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this.
All right, cool. What I'm hearing is it needs a little DS work. The highs, super highs are a bit much. Let's play around with the EQs, the airband. Just gonna clean up the vocal, make it sound present, gritty, and where I can understand all his lyrics, and but not too thin. I still want it to sound full.
You play like you practice like you play, it's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. Never pretentious, however I play with go tactics. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. It's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. It's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. Never fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. It's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. Never pretentious. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. It's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. However I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. It's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. However I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. It's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. However I play with go tactics. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play. Never pretentious, I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice, let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you this. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice to your butter accountability. The cost is for status, don't bother. Confident humility, not cockiness. High standards, cosmic consciousness. Practice to establish, getting better. Beautiful consequence. Conquering abilities consistent. A conquer moves diligent. Brings contentment, conquer inner peace. It's a priceless commitment with continuity. Progress is significant. Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. Let's unpack practice. You practice like you play.
All right, cool. So we got that done. The EQ, compression, the distortion, a little bit on that, on the vocal. Now I'm just gonna add some auto-tune to this hook. He doesn't strike me as somebody who wants a lot of auto-tune on here, so I'm gonna just put it on, but I'm gonna use the modern version. What key? All right, so it looks like we're in C minor. Yep. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and do auto-tune C minor. Let's turn this flex tune up so it's not so obvious that auto-tune is on there. And let's see what it sounds like. Humanize as well. I don't think he has too many long notes though.
Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. You practice like you play.
I feel like the hook sounds a little different than the verse.
Not cockiness. High standards, hella bomber, cosmic consciousness. Practice established, getting better. Let's unpack this. You play like you.
So I'm just gonna throw a small EQ on here, cut out some of this bottom.
Let's unpack. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. It's a practice.
I already know these two tracks are gonna need the auto-tune as well. I'm gonna copy and paste the settings that I have here. Actually, I'll do the whole thing onto these hook tracks as well. So now they have the same settings as the lead.
Overcoming's validity, grows a process. The outcome's vitality. I promise, come with it. Whoever I play with, go tactics. Never tactless, I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger.
All right, sounds good to me. Let's add the chords. These are guitar chords, I think. I want to add the keys first, and then, oh, main strings and flute. Maybe I'll add the strings first. Let's see what they sound like.
You play like you practice like you play, it's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretend.
I think I'd rather do the keys.
You play like you practice like you play, it's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better.
It sounds good. I think it might sound fine the way it is because it looks like I already processed a lot of these sounds.
Let's unpack this. You play like you practice like you play, it's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested, I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better, Kobe disgusted. Practice.
I like this, but this feels a little tinny to me. Like the super highs from 2 to 4K, 2 to 5K sounds a little harsh. I'm gonna try to soften it a little bit. Looks like it's boosted a little bit in mid-range. Let me find a sweet spot for it. Okay, that sounds good to me. I just think it needs to be compressed a little bit. It's a little too dynamic. I'm gonna put a compressor on the bus. I feel like using the UAD Teletronics LA2A. It's very classic. Everybody uses it. And it just has a really smooth compression, which also sounds bomb. It'll take your sound from sounding like this. I kind of just want the tonal instruments to be blending a little bit better, and I want them more controlled. So I'm going to put this Teletronics LA2A on the bus, my tonals bus, where these chords and keys and stuff are going to. And what I'm going to do is just find a nice soft setting that sounds good on all of them. So let me just play it without it first, and then I'll turn it on. You can see how it'll just automatically just sound better, because this plugin is just awesome, which the real thing is awesome as well, but it's emulating. All right, that's it bypass. Now I'll turn it on. It just automatically jumps up a little bit. It's very subtle, but it automatically jumps up. It sounds more in your face. It has more harmonics in it. It just sounds better. I'm going to do a slight compression on the bus because I don't want it to really be compressing like that. I just want to keep it balanced, but also sound good. So let's add some keys and then add all these tonal instruments. So that flute thing, I'm trying to tame that a little bit as well. I'm going to put a compressor on this track as well. I'll use the LA2A as the glue, and I'll use this compressor to get the dynamics of that flute together. Nice. Now let's add the keys. So the strings were sounding a little harsh even after EQing. So I took this retro color, just turned off the distortion. Sounded better to me. But the key sounded better with a little distortion, so I kept it, just turned it down a little bit. And let's add this guitar. All right, so the guitars are centered. I'd rather have it on far left and right. I have a plugin that's already set to do that for me. Just a Logic delay plugin. If you use a sample delay, you just delay the right sample by 512 samples. You'll be able to hear this signal split to left and right speaker, and it instantaneously. I use it as my default because that's the only time I really use this plugin. So let's hear it. To make more room for it, I'll center these keys and the flute a little bit. I like to use S Imager. There's a lot of ways to do this, but I like to use S1 Imager. I feel like I get more control. So let me center that a little bit. Everything has its own space. Keys, a little bit wider probably. And then remember the guitars are all the way at the ends. I'll want it kissing this compressor just a little bit, maybe a little bit harder, between -1, -2 when it's really loud. There we go. Still feel like the strings are a little harsh, so I'm gonna cut them a little bit in the higher frequencies. This UAD Teletronics LA2A just helps glue the whole section together. Now it's one cohesive unit that I can just boost up and down, EQ like I want. It sounds pretty good together, and yeah, that's all the tonal instruments on this song. All right, let's get back to where we're at in the mix. We have the vocals, we have the tonal elements. Now let's make sure that the vocals sit good with the tonal elements.
Let's unpack this shit.
So for me, it's just too loud. That's the only difference now. Let's turn it down using this gain.
Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. It's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists. Never pretentious. I play with go tactics. Never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested. I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better. Kobe disgusted. Practice. I play with go tactics. Never tactless. The cost is for status, humility, not cockiness. High standards, cosmic consciousness. Practice established, getting better. Beautiful consequence. Conquering abilities consistent. A conquer moves diligently. It don't come instant. A comforter's ingenuity, persistence brings contentment. Conquer inner peace. It's a priceless commitment with continuity. Progress is significant. Let's unpack. You practice like you play.
This is the second time I've heard that note. That high note in this 808 sounds a little crazy.
Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. Overcoming's validity, gross a process.
So what I can do is I can just selection-based processing. Patience. All right, so now for this 808, I've been noticing that it jumps out kind of crazy.
You play like you practice. You practice like you play. You practice like you play.
It does it here a little bit too, but not as drastic. So I will just gain this down a little bit. I think this one will be okay.
Overcoming's validity, gross a process.
Nope, I don't think so. Just undo that. So basically what I'm going to do is selection-based processing. You right click, go selection-based processing. I'm going to find this resonant frequency that's happening here. I'm going to use Pro EQ to find it. All right, so what I'm going to do is just cycle this section. Because it's the same frequency in both of them, I'm pretty sure, because it's the same note. So let's preview it and find this resonant frequency. I think it's that first note right there. And I want to keep the resonance in there, but I don't want it to be overpowering because I know when I master it, it's going to sound crazy. So let's go ahead and tame it now so I don't have to do it later after mastering. It's a little loud too, so let me take it down by 2 dB. I don't want it to clip. All right, cool. I'm going to highlight the regions that I want to affect again. This one is the same notes. Make sure I'm on the right side. If I do this, it'll do the RX. I want to select this B because that's where I put my EQ. Then I'm going to press apply, and it's going to apply it to just these two regions. Before I do that, let me use track alternatives, duplicate it, so now I can always go back to the old one if I need. If you show inactive, the old one is there. So if I do it wrong, but don't notice for an hour, and then I come back and I'm like, I don't like that, I could start with the original one instead of the affected one. All right, let's press apply, see what it sounds like. Oops, see, I only did one. Let me undo that. Let's connect both of them. Okay, now they both got affected. Remember, I turned down the gain so it didn't clip. So let me turn it back up by using clip gain. Let's see if that sounds better.
Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play It's a practice. Overcoming's validity, grows a process. The practice. You practice like you play. It's a.
I don't know what happened there. This one sounds fine, but this one did not sound so great. Let's check it out. I think it's the way I cut it. That's probably better.
You practice like you play.
Great. I just need to gain it back up. 2.5 dB. Got it done.
Practice like you play. You practice like you play. Practice like you play. It's a practice. Overcoming's validity, grows a process.
And that's how I clean up the 808. It was bothering me only in this section, so I just went in selection-based processing and took care of it by itself. All right, let's continuing the mix.
This you play like you practice. You practice like you play. It's a practice. You practice like you play. It's a practice. Overcoming's validity, grows a process. The outcome's vitality. I promise. Come with a diligent mentality, prowess. Covenant of.
Okay, so it was a loop that I chopped up and just really liked the snare out of it. Let's see, did I take anything else? I got snare and whatever this is. Let's see what this is. It gives it an extra rhythm, but I don't like how it sounds like a click. So I'm going to use Isotope's declicker to get rid of that. The default usually works great. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, sounds the same. I'm just gonna widen it by half. Sometimes widening it makes it work better. Got rid of that. I like the way it sounds already.
Come with a diligent mentality, covenant of mutuality. Prosperous cognitive dissonance, not reality. Progress, uncomfortable with sufferance, radically protest. Precious, incorporating well-being, serenity. Persist, cultivating seeds of divinity. The outcome's vitality, I promise. Come with a diligent mentality, covenant of mutuality.
Okay, I like that. This vocal sample, I'm just gonna compress it a little bit more. Spread too. Let me take off this spread because I'm having trouble with clarity.
Vitality, come with a diligent mentality, covenant of mutuality. Prosperous cognitive dissonance, not reality. Progress, uncomfortable with sufferance, radically protest. Consummate with sustenance remedies, precious. Incorporating well-being, serenity. Persist, cultivating seeds of divinity. Vitality, I promise. Come with a diligent mentality, covenant of mutuality. Prosperous cognitive dissonance, not reality. Progress, uncomfortable with sufferance, radically protest. Precious, incorporating well-being, serenity. Cultivating seeds of divinity. Vitality, I promise. Come with a diligent mentality.
I didn't really like the super high sizzle on there, so I just took it out. But I still want to hear it better, so the 6 to 8K is pretty crucial. I think I'm boosting it where... Okay. I just used a shelf EQ because I want all these frequencies boosted so I can hear it better. I can still hear the lead vocals and I can still hear this, so it's pretty cool. I'll try it with and without it and see if it makes a difference as far as clarity.
vitality, I promise. Come with a diligent mentality, prowess, covenant of mutuality, prosperous cognitive.
Oh yeah, that helped a lot actually. Super clear now. All right. We got everything but the hi-hats and cymbals and backgrounds. So the backgrounds is going to be pretty easy. Just going to take the lead vocal, copy, and paste the same thing on here. Because for this type of song, I think it should be exactly the same pretty much. Maybe the reverb will be different when we get to that. But other than that, I think it should be the same.
You practice like you play, it's a practice. Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. Practice like you play.
If you recall earlier, we put the guitars on the super left and super far left and the far right. I don't want the vocals to be there as well. So I'm bringing these in a little bit. Will it clash with these other ones? Maybe, but we're going to check it to make sure that everything has its own space. So 46, 48. For right now, just getting the leveling down, and then I'll do some soloing to figure everything else out. Let's add these hi-hats and crashes. To do this, I like to do it on a very moderately low level. So I'm turning down the speakers. You won't be able to hear it on your end, I don't think. But I'm turning down my monitors in my room for this part.
Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. It's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists. Never pretentious. I play with go tactics. Never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested. I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better. Kobe disgusted. Practice to your butter. Accountability. The cost is for status. Don't bother. Confident humility, not cockiness. High standards, hell up commitment with continuity. Progress is significant. You practice like you play, it's a practice. You practice like you play.
All right, sounding pretty good. I'm gonna check these intro and outro chords, and then this radio intro where he's talking about practice, and that will be the majority of the mix without reverb. And I'll take a 10-minute break to clear my ears, clear my head, not listen to it for a while. Breaks are everything in mixing, at least for me. Fresh ears are everything, really. When I come put the reverb, I'm going to do the reverb and the mastering, and then we'll be done. Maybe some automation. But songs like this, typically there aren't too many crazy effects going on. It's just raw, spitting with a soul beat, feeling the vibes, all that. So let's get the intro and then these chords. The intro and outro are basically the same. I do have to do that automated filter thing at the end, and I will do that when I get back. So let me just balance this intro together and we should be good. First, I'm going to do the volume balance because the sample sounds pretty good as is. It looks like I hit it with a little bit of distortion. So let's see if that's a good choice or not. Filtered it too.
You play like you practice like you play, it's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic.
Yeah, just from that right there, I noticed that the kick and sub are too loud. So let's turn it down a little bit. The volume really matters a lot. You have to check on different types of volumes.
Let's unpack. You practice like you play, it's a practice. Grow to be better protagonists, never pretentious. However, I play with go tactics, never tactless. I endeavor fantastic. Forever we are tested. I'm better when contested. To play bigger, I've adjusted. Haters get bitter and disgusted. Practice makes you better. Kobe disgusted. Practice to your butter. Accountability. The cost is for status, confident humility, not cockiness. High standards, hella bomber, cosmic consciousness. Practice to establish, getting better. Beautiful consequence. Conquering abilities consistent. A conquer moves diligently. It don't come instant. Ingenuity, persistence brings contentment. Let's unpack this. You play like you practice.
The sample and how it fits in the verse should be smooth. It should be seamless. So let's just balance them this way. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's just a more full version of it. All right, sounds good. Got the intro. Now let's do the vocal part of the intro. This one I already know I want a filter on it if there isn't one already. But let's see. Dude.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice.
So I actually like the way it sounds right now. But I will hit with a little distortion. I feel like when he says practice really hard, I can hear the plosive a little bit. So I'm going to go back to A, default setting, apply it, and then put a little distortion on there. Let's go ahead and use Decapitator since I used it on pretty much the rest of the song.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here. Listen, we talking about practice. I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice.
All right, I like how that sounds. It's too bright, like it's gonna hurt my ears, but the distortion and the filter sounds great.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice.
Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. It's a practice. To be better, never pretentious.
We're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice.
Let's unpack this. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. Practice. Grow to be better, protagonist.
Even just doing that made me realize how much more I can go on the distortion on the Decapitator. So I'm actually going to do that when I get back. Take a little break. We come back, hit the vocals with more distortion and add some reverb, delay, do that filter at the outro and master it and be done. That should probably take like 30 to 45 minutes.